Hello and welcome to Nikolai's genetics lessons, and today's question is: you observe 1 to 2 to 1 ratio of visible types in the F2 generation of a cross between two homozygous lines of corn. Choose the correct statements about this result. And here is the variance of the answers. So we can observe such a ratio if we have one gene with two alleles. So one gene A with allele dominant A and recessive allele A. So I will show this in two different colors to show that dominant allele would produce red pigment and recessive allele would be probably mutated version of the dominant allele, which is not going to produce any pigment at all. So we perceive it as white color. Now in the parental generation we have two genotypes. One is homozygous dominant, we cross with homozygous recessive. Of course, this parent would produce red pigment and this parent would produce white pigment. Let's say this is a pigment of the flowers of the plant. This is going to be parent 1 and this is going to be parent 2. And this is going to be parental generation. Next generation is going to be F1 generation. So what do we expect in the F1 generation? We expect that all the progeny is going to be uniform. Capital A and small a. But if we have not simple dominance, but if this is going to be due to incomplete dominance, the phenotype of this genotype is going to be different from parent 1. Take a look. One chromosome inherited from parent 1 would produce red pigment, and chromosome inherited from the parent 2 is not going to produce a pigment, so we can perceive such a color as pale red. So it's going to be red, but it's going to be of the pale color because only one allele would produce pigment. So this is going to be parental generation and this is going to be F1 generation. How do we get second generation, which is going to be F2 generation? We just cross F1 generation among itself. The genotype is going to be the same and the same phenotype for when we choose both parents from F1 generation. They are going to be of the same genotype and of course same phenotype. Now let's build simple Punnett square. So genotype of one parent here on the top and genotype of another parent here on the side. So we build simple Punnett square and let's take a look what's going to happen in the next generation, which is going to be F2 generation. So this is F2 generation. Capital A here and capital A small a here, capital A small a here, and small a here. So in F2 generation we are going to get three phenotypes. This genotype would produce plants with red flowers, this genotype would produce plants with pink flowers, and this genotype would produce phenotype which is going to be white. So plant with white flowers. And the ratio is going to be 1 to 2 to 1. 1 red to 2 pink to 1 white. Let's analyze and read our problem again. You observe 1 to 2 to 1 ratio of visible types in the F2 generation. This is F2 generation of a cross between two homozygous lines of corn. Here's what probably this part can be confusing to you. You may think that F1 generation have to be homozygous, so have to be capital A or small a, but actually this is F1 generation and result of the two homozygous parents in parental generation. So F2 generation is direct descendant of the parental generation. And now you see that this is very easy to choose now. The correct answer, variant A single gene is involved in the cross. Yes, gene A with two allelic forms, so gene A with two allelic forms, dominant and recessive. So this is going to be the correct answer, but let's check other answers as well. Two phenotypes are observed in the F2 generation. This is not true. Three genotypes and phenotypes observed in F2 generation. Whereas C, the alleles involved show complete dominance. No, these alleles show incomplete dominance. That's why this heterozygous genotype is different from the homozygous dominant genotype. And of course, no D, no E would be correct answer. So only variant A would be a correct answer. And all the rest would be wrong. And this is all for today. Thank you for your attention. Please subscribe for my new videos that I post almost every day. And see you in the next video. Goodbye.